Hi, I'm Mr. Mullaney. This is a lesson recap of our lesson on revolutions in Haiti and Latin America. When I say Latin America, I'm using that crudely to describe Mexico, Central America, and South America. Our objectives for this lesson, we wanted to identify sources of discontent with French, Spanish, and Portuguese rule. We wanted to understand how leaders influenced the revolutions in Haiti, Mexico, Central America, and South America. This lesson is a lot about the leaders, and we'll work more with that, but it's about the leaders who led the people in revolt. All right. So how do you think revolution spread to Latin America? A lot of this was ideas picked up from Latin American colonists, from European countries, the Enlightenment, and the American Revolution. That's really what we're getting at as far as revolutionary spirit going to Latin America. Let's talk about discontent. You don't have revolutions without discontent. If people are happy and everyone's fine, then you don't have a revolution. You have maintenance of the status quo. That's not what happens in Latin America in the 1800s. Well, you have an ethnic and social hierarchy that was out of date and did not serve many people well. You have the peninsulares. They're the ones who come from Europe. And so that really comes from the Iberian Peninsula, Spain and Portugal. That's where you get that name, peninsulares. You have the Creoles. They're the offspring of the peninsulares. Then you have the mestizos, who are people who are mixed race between the natives and people of European descent. And then you have mulattoes. Mulatto is an offensive term. You only use it today in this historical context. We use it for this lesson because it is what the people were called at the time. So we're going to use it, but it is offensive. Very hard, difficult line to walk there. That group would be the mixture of people of African descent and people of European descent. The only thing these social classes have in common is their dislike for Spanish rule. Most of these independence movements are against Spain. We talk about Enlightenment ideas, the Declaration of Independence, the American Revolution, and the fact that the Creoles traveled in Europe during the Enlightenment and were influenced by Enlightenment ideas. All right, Napoleon. Napoleon conquering Spain is a real trigger for a lot of these. The leaders of Latin America see this as an opportunity. So he put his brother on the Spanish throne. He wanted to return slavery to Haiti. That's a big problem. So that's a big reason why you have a revolution in Haiti. And Latin America's leaders see Spain's weakness, their monarch was just overthrown, as an opportunity. So we start with Haitian independence. This is Haiti on Google Maps, part of Hispaniola. It's right by Cuba. It's not too far from the Bahamas and from Florida, to give you just a little geographical perspective. So slavery was a big part of Haiti and Haiti's economy. Brutal existence on sugar plantations. Slaves worked to death on these sugar plantations. The slaves revolted is a very long and complex struggle. We'll read more about that from the Brown University Choices Program readings. Toussaint Louverture, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. He's a leader. He's a former slave, brilliant general. He and the rebels are aided by yellow fever, which claims a lot of French soldiers. And Haiti, after a long, complex struggle that we're just going over the very basics of right here, becomes a republic in 1820. Mexican independence. It starts with Father Hidalgo. In 1810, he delivers the El Grito de Dolores speech, where the people in the area thought, oh, we're being summoned to church, oh, time for some prayer. And he gives a speech about how Mexicans should be free of Spain. Huge. He's executed. And then a second priest, Father Morelos, leads a more successful effort. He's killed in 1815, and eventually Augustin de Iturbide overthrows the Spanish viceroy. He names himself emperor, but that does not last long, and a republic is declared. That's a Mexican Revolution very, very quickly. We'll study it a little bit more in class. What you want to know, it's very hard to keep track here. You have Hidalgo first and Morelos second. The way you might remember that, this tie, I got it H&M. So remember H&M when you're trying to think of who came first. It was Hidalgo and then Morelos, H&M, as far as the order in which they lead revolt. So Central America. Central America is your land between Mexico, and then this is the Isthmus of Panama, and that's South America. In the early 1820s, you had a united provinces of Central America, but it fractured. Guatemala, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, and Costa Rica. We looked at a bigger map of that in class. All right, a leader of South American independence, a man named Tupac Amaru. He organized a revolt against the Spanish in 1780. He was executed, but his revolt does lead to the Spanish king ending the system of forced labor. If that name sounds familiar to you, it's because Tupac Shakur, the legendary rapper, he was named by his mother after Tupac Amaru. In fact, Tupac Shakur's full name was Tupac Amaru Shakur, and we read in class a little bit about that as well. Simon Bolivar, probably the most famous of the Latin American revolutionaries. He's a Creole, so he's descended from European peninsulares. He established Venezuela in 1810 with a revolt in Caracas. There were these cowboys in South America, Llaneros, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. They were allied with the Spanish king, but Bolivar convinced them to join him, and they lead a bunch of uprisings in South America. Bolivar dreamt of Gran Colombia, a united South American country. Civil wars happen, the republics squabble, and his dream does not come true. He was bitterly disappointed by that. San Marin, he's another Creole. He led Argentina to independence. He defeated Spain in Chile and Peru. He allied with Bolivar, although he let Bolivar take most of the leadership, and so he's not as well remembered as Bolivar. And then we'll end with Brazil. Brazil, very different. First of all, it's breaking free of Portugal, not Spain. There it is, right there in South America. And what happened was, so it's a Portuguese colony. Napoleon conquered Brazil. King flees to, Napoleon conquers Portugal. The king flees to Brazil. Loved Brazil. Didn't want to leave, but he eventually leaves. He leaves his son Pedro, Dom Pedro, in charge. Independence movement starts in Brazil. The king of Portugal is again overthrown, and at that point, Dom Pedro, he can see the writing on the wall, and so he does a very smart thing. He says, I'm now the emperor of an independent Brazil. We're free, we're independent, and I'm emperor. And so Brazil won't become a monarch, won't become a republic until 1889. In fact, slavery will last in Brazil until the 1880s. So they have slavery longer than the United States does. Because they didn't have a revolution to become a republic, they became a monarchy. The old traditions hung around longer in Brazil. And we close. You want to think about the leaders. What leaders helped drive Spain from Brazil? Spain from Latin America. It was Portugal from Brazil. But Spain is the big one. All right. Haiti is a huge one, but they're from France. And Brazil is from Portugal, and that's a little different thing. You want to think about Spain and the different leaders and the different tactics they took. And so that's a lesson recap on our revolutions in Haiti and Latin America lesson.